I am here at my studio at SoFi Stadium, the home of the Super Bowl champions, the Los Angeles Rams. And I have another champion here. That's my boy, Mike Sancho. He is the CEO and founder of Wealth Accelerators. Welcome to the Playbook, Mike.
Thank you, David. Pleasure to be here.
You are an incredible entrepreneur. I'm looking through Wealth Accelerators and the consultative services and situational knowledge that you have. How old are you?
28.
28, man. I wish I had the knowledge that you had at 28, even at 48, and I'm 54. You are a true entrepreneur in the sense that you understand what skills it takes to be an entrepreneur, what knowledge it takes, but also what desire it requires. And I mean that specifically. So I want to take each of those specifically because you're so successful, not just in real estate, not just in crypto. You are a successful, I think it's one of the questions people ask about me. How do you do all, like you're in everything. Dave Meltzer's everywhere and everything. Watch out, world, because so is Mike Sancho, but he's only 28 and I'm 54. So let's start with skills. What skills have you developed that people need to be successful as a business person?
So skills-wise, that's a fantastic question because there's a variety of skills. And I feel as an entrepreneur, one of the things that I'm super intentional about is constantly leveling up and gaining more and more skills. So number one, I would say the most important skill has got to be work ethic. You got to have that drive. You got to have that desire. You got to have that grind because nothing's just going to come to you without, you first putting in that work and that effort. So for years and years and years and years, I was working 100 hours a week, 120 hours a week. Now, 10 years later, that effort compounded. People are calling me, an overnight success, right? So you got to be able to bust your ass. You got to be able to work hard. I think also, for me, I make it a habit of doing things that make me uncomfortable or other people uncomfortable. For example, like speaking, public speaking, right? That's a skill that I didn't have. I wasn't born with that skill. I don't think anyone's born with that skill. And they say, from a fear standpoint, most people would rather even die than actually public speak, which is crazy.
I got to tell you a story real quick. I was with Miss Olympia. So she's on stage in a G-string, basically, right? In a bikini.
Of course.
A very skimpy one, so you can see like incredible musculature and sculpture, right? And I'm doing a keynote and she comes off stage and she's like, oh my God, I'd be so afraid to go up there and speak. And I'm thinking, in what world? I'm like, imagine if I would, I'd be way more afraid to go on stage in a bikini. So would the audience, by the way, than that. But nonetheless, the fear of speaking, not just on stage, but in an interview or in front of a group of people, which that presentation skill is one that you're really getting at, is that you can articulate quantitative value to exceed what you're asking for in front of one or many.
Exactly. And that's exactly it. Speaking is huge. And then another one that I would say is one of the top skills that every entrepreneur needs to have is sales. You got to know how to sell. You got to sell yourself. You got to sell your business, your products, your services. You're always selling. And that's what people fail to realize because what I've noticed is that there's a negative connotation with sales oftentimes where people think that in selling, you're getting someone to do something that they don't want to do or that they don't want to buy. But the way that I look at sales is a win-win because you're diagnosing a need or a want that someone has and you're making their life easier. So as long as you're selling something that's going to actually benefit the person, you're doing them a solid. And frankly speaking, we're selling every single day in our life. You're selling your friends, your spouse, your kids on, where to go to dinner, where are we going to go for the weekend? What are we going to do? Every single day we're selling. And I would say those are the top 3 skills.
I love that. And then the second thing I asked about is knowledge. And I will break it down into 2 categories of knowledge. One is what you need to know to be a good business person or an entrepreneur. And the other is who. Who
That's
you need
question.
to know.
I would say, you say, so you need to know what you need to know. And I think the most important thing you need to know, and I'm smiling because this is you need to know that you don't know what you don't know.
I love it. Now you're talking Meltzerisms right there. Radical humility. 2 types of people. Radical. So there's ignorant people that are humble like you,
right?
That you don't know what you don't know,
right?
Then you have the ignorant, arrogant people that pretend they know they don't know. Everybody knows they don't know what they don't know.
Yeah.
But there's some people that pretend, and mostly young people, because I will tell you, when I was your age, I was a multimillionaire like you, extremely successful. One of the differences between you and I when I was 28 is you don't know and you admit it. And ask for help. Not me, man. I knew I didn't know what I didn't know and pretended like I did. And that's what ended up in tragedy.
And I see that a lot. And I see that a lot of times people start to gain a little bit of success, right? Like they start to earn six figures, multiple six figures. And then they get this, like, I know it all. And I'm the best. I'm the greatest. And then they block their blessings. So that's key for me. What was the other one you asked? It was
what and who of knowledge. So what else do you need to know?
What else do you
besides
need to know?
Knowing that you don't know what you don't know? Who do you need to know?
You need to know everyone that you can possibly get around, because your network is your net worth. Every single opportunity, advancement, success that I've had in my life is due to other people and me getting around those other people. So I've been extremely, again, intentional about networking and getting around people like yourself. And I've invested hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not over $1 million, on personal development, training with coaches, consulting, you name it. I bought course after course after course after course. You got to pay to play. And if you want to get into the top circles and you want to get around the top people, price of admission is not free. And you shouldn't expect it to be free, right? So I think that's the biggest thing for on that side.
Let me tell you also, I have a question to ask you, because one of the other difficulties I had when I was your age was determining the people that I shouldn't be around, firing people from my life, falling away, asking hard questions. I call it trusting and vetting, especially like childhood friends, being around, show me your friends, I'll show you your future. How do you fire people or let people fall away that are bleeding you? Because 80% of the people out there, their biggest problem is they're being bled, not fed.
That's a very, very tough question. And I think that's one of the toughest things for a lot of people. And I think it's really important to audit your circle and see who's adding to your life and who's taking away, because you're right. A lot of people are going to bleed you, and it's a lot of the people from your past life and your previous life, and they know you for who you used to be. They don't know you for where you're going or who you are now. So I think one of the easiest ways to kind of fire people from your life is, well, if they work for you, number one, you just fire them.
Nice, Like Gary always says, fire fast. If they work for you, just fire them fast.
Sometimes you got to cut the ties and you got to fire. We got a couple hundred employees, so we fire a lot. And hey, you get fired. But if it's someone that's a friend to you or close, that's where it's difficult, right? So, first off, a suggestion I would have is you can combat it directly and you can confront it with them. Let them know, hey, the way you're acting around me or your negativity towards what I'm doing is very hurtful. And I don't have any energy space or mind space for that type of negativity, because it's just going to hold me back. So I would appreciate it as my friend or family member, as someone who claims to care about me, to no longer do this, right? And you can start from that angle. And if that doesn't work, then you slowly just start to, like, I call it jellyfish away.
Fall away.
You just kind of fall away, and you keep, you just keep the contact. It just kind of falls more and more and more, and you just kind of move on with your life. And that's just, the sad reality of success and becoming successful, is that a lot of people are going to try and leech onto you. They're going to try and drain you, and you just can't have any of it. You really have to cut those ties.
Yeah, it's not easy when you're in your 20s. It's hard enough when you're in your 50s. I always like to tell people, this isn't about you. This is about me. And I just don't feel good when I'm around you. So I'm probably not going to be around you that often. This is for personal relationships. And if necessary, even, I will just fire them and say, I'm never going to be around you. Because this isn't about you. It's about me. I don't like the way I feel or think about myself when I'm around you. And until I can figure that out, I need to focus on those people that are feeding me, that make me feel good about myself, so I can continue on the journey of maximizing productivity, accessibility, and gratitude in my life. All right, the third thing I wanted to discuss was the desire. Now, you tied it into the skill, which I like. I like consistent, persistent behavior, but having that desire is related to skill. But I want to know about what inspires you. So we took desire as a skill. I'm fine with that. But to the end of every single successful person that I have carries a spirit of excellence. And I call it a spirit because, in other words, they're in spirit. They're inspired. And you, from the time I met you, I didn't even have to look up. I was doing another interview and I felt you come into the room. You weren't in even this office, right? You were outside my office,
right out there.
But I had to turn, just like other people turn when you walk into a room, because you are in spirit. You're carrying this higher frequency or vibration. What are some of the things that you do, as I say, to clear the interference between you and obviously the source of inspiration for you?
Yeah. Well, I think you have to get clear on what your why is and where that inspire, where that hunger, where that desire, feeds from. And, for me, it's all about creating a legacy. And with that legacy, I've developed this obsession for success. And I believe that that's where that energy comes from. That force that I'm able to carry with me is because I am obsessed with my goals. I am obsessed with success and with helping people, because I've been in the dumps. I've been down. I've had a lot of challenges. I may be, younger, right? I'm 28, but for my age, I've had a lot of failures. And I've had a lot of things go wrong.
I call them lessons.
Yeah, lessons. Yeah, that's how I look at it too. It's never an L. It's not a loss. It's a lesson, because you learn from it. But because I had those experiences at a young age, I was being, an idiot and going around getting in trouble and just doing the wrong thing. And I had a line in the sand decision type of moment in my life where I did an entire 360 and I completely flipped the script. I was 21, so it was like 7-8 years ago. And from that point, I've kept that obsession and I've kept that drive and I've kept that grind. But for me, because I've experienced what it's like to be at rock bottom and to have nobody there for you, no one lifting a hand up, no one believes in you anymore, not even your family, not even your friends, nobody. And to have that feeling of just pure loneliness in this world. And my goal is to help lift people out of that state, because I believe if you elevate yourself to another level, you should be with your hand down, reaching and pulling others up to that level. So with Wealth Accelerators, that's our goal, starting from a financial standpoint, because that can help a lot of people in their lives. There's different areas of your life where you need growth. You need, financial, health, spiritual, etc. But I believe that financial is one of the most important. And from there, you can work on the rest. So with Wealth Accelerators, what we do is we help people diversify their income and leverage passive business models where they can learn to be a true investor and gain time and money freedom, because most people are not taught how to invest. They're not taught about business. So a lot of people out there are amateur investors. So what we do is we take non-accredited amateur type of investors and we walk them through this ladder up to a professional accreditation type of investor. And that's how we help people. But for me, it all goes back to that fire and just that drive that I have internally. And it's more so me versus myself. It's not to prove anything to anybody else. It's me versus me. And I have my blinders on, like the horse in a race. I got my blinders on. And I don't look up. I don't look side to side. I don't compare. I just go. And that keeps me going.
You know what I like about what you do is there's 3 reasons why you become really wealthy. Mm-hmm. And the first is understanding delivering value. Yep. So you're a student. Yep. Right? The W and L columns for you, the W represents a waste of time because it's just an acknowledgement to the ego that you won. Yep. It's actually proving you already know the lesson. Mm-hmm. It's the L column that has the quantitative value because it represents, you said it so eloquently, right? Yeah. It represents not a loss, but a lesson. So you got waste of time, just proving what you already knew. Yep. Loss is the lesson. The L column is maybe more important, but you serve value and you serve it well to elevate others, to elevate yourself. What I love about the explanation of the Wealth Accelerators is that your main purpose, your main mission is to elevate others to elevate yourself, which brings a question, because obviously money has a meaning to different people. I grew up thinking money buys love or happiness. I've readjusted that frame, and still money is a priority in my life, but for different reasons and impacts. For you, how has money and your relationship to money evolved?
Yeah, so for me, money, I believe, is extremely important. It's right up there with oxygen, but I view it as the greatest tool that you can have. That's what I view money as. That's it, just a tool, and it's going to amplify who you are. So if you're a good person, it's going to make you more of a good person. If you're a bad person, it's going to make you more of a bad person. But ultimately, it's a tool that allows you to be free and live a life on your own terms. For me, the way my relationship around money has evolved has been pretty drastic, because coming from my upbringing, my parents weren't, wealthy. I don't really come from money. They were, middle class, working, blue collar family. So, they taught me the traditional, you go to college, you do the 40-40-40 plan, stuff like that. And I didn't really subscribe to that plan, but I was taught that money isn't everything, but at the same time, the actions of my family, it showed counter. So, I noticed a lot of people have an emotional attachment to money. And that was something that I consciously removed. And it took me a number of years for me to remove my emotional attachment to money, because I realized that people live and die on money and what's happening with their money. And I realized that money doesn't even exist. I realized that it's a medium of exchange, and it only has value because the collective perception of everybody is that it has value. Because if you look at the history of money, before money, people would just barter. They'd say, hey, I got these goats or cows, you've got grains, or, let's trade, let's swap. And then there became so many people that now people started to have specialized careers. Like, I'm a blacksmith, I'm a baker, I'm a farmer, and they needed something to exchange value. So they created currency. And from there, that's where everyone gave like this, stone in the ground, or this rock, or this pebble, or this, whatever it is, this commodity, and they gave it value. And I realized that as money has evolved, it's just been that today it's evolved to numbers on a screen, right? Hardly ever do we even use paper currency anymore. I'm huge into crypto. It's literally numbers on a screen. And so I 100% detached emotionally from money, and I stopped caring about it. And I focused on other things, like adding value to the marketplace. And the more value that I added to the marketplace, the more those numbers freely came to my bank account. So that's my, how money's evolved for me in my life.
Well, you definitely are proving that money is an object of energy that you put into the flow to get what you want. It's a currency, the same as faith. Last question, real quick. Your company, yourself, very successful, but you're scaling at such an extraordinary rate.
Yeah.
Can you take anyone, and help them become wealthy?
I can take any single person and I can show them the exact formula. The formula is very simple. Number one, it's increase your income through probably sales. Okay. You got to increase your income because you need income that you can invest. From there, you start to invest into passive income streams, you compound those assets, and you diversify across different industries. So that way you have true financial freedom, because you're not carrying one basket of eggs, you have a dozen basket of eggs. If you drop one industry tanks, you have all your other baskets. So that's literally, I can take any single person through that process. And then I'm going to probably teach them how to leverage debt, because that's the real tool of the wealth, is leveraging debt, right? Tax-free. And it's just, you can jump up levels with debt. And we were taught growing up that debt is bad. It's a bad thing. So there's a fear around debt and a lack of knowledge, a lack of education. So those key pieces right there, I can take anyone through that process and we can accelerate their wealth.
Yeah. And it's absolutely from the Rockefellers down, quadrant living systems, all types of financial planning, all based off of compound interest, acceleration, and growth. But it does, what I love about your program is you're the only realist that's ever been on the podcast that started at the reality that, let me help you make money.
Yep.
And then the only thing I think's missing in that formula that you probably address, and it's just hasn't been suggested, is not only make a lot of money, but don't spend a lot at first. Right. Pay yourself, put it in the right place. I see so many people make a lot of money and buy a Lambo.
I drive a Malibu.
Yeah.
By the way, and I live in an
apartment. I was a Volt guy. So right. Because every dollar today at 28, every dollar is worth way more than at 54.
Yep.
And if you're going to waste it on something that you can get for far less, or drink it down or snort it up or whatever else other kids do. I think it's a waste. Unbelievable. Mike Sancho, he is the founder of Wealth Accelerators. He's not only accelerating wealth for himself, but he's empowering thousands of people to do the same. Check him out.